So what if you decided to take a nice hike in the middle of the day down a long trail that led to nowhere? And while you were hiking in the forest and in the open air, you started to hear the sound of The Wizard of Oz being played over a loudspeaker? And when you went further, deeper into that trail, into those woods, your friends became frustrated, anxious, and even crazy. And the further you went, the louder that loudspeaker got, playing The Wizard of Oz, until your friends became frenzied and started tearing each other apart.
Come back alive.
That is Yellow Brick Road. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that was gifted to me called Yellow Brick Road. This was given to me by Resolution 67. Thank you for donating it. Let's get into it. I decided to talk about it on here because this is a movie that, we haven't actually talked about, I think, enough. I think it deserves a little bit more credit than it's gotten. It right now is sitting at about a 4.7 on IMDb, and I personally think that's a little low for this movie. It's not perfect, but what it does do, pretty horrifying and pretty great. Now, to give you an idea what this movie is all about, Yellow Brick Road is about a group of people that lived in this small village in 1940 in Friar, New Hampshire, that decided one day to just up and leave and walk down a winding mountain trail, leaving everything behind on the table and everything, and they disappeared. And then fast forward into the future, 2008, there's a group of kids who are deciding that they want to find out what happened to these people and solve the mystery of the lost citizens of Friar. And, back in the 40s, there was like 272 bodies from the 1940s that they found, torn to shreds, lost, frozen, starved. It's like they got lost. One survivor that has survived the whole thing, and they're like, how did you get here? And they have like an audio recording of it. And it's a really interesting concept that I think doesn't get enough justice or, just how well they kind of pulled this story off. Because this new group that's going in to investigate something that the entire town has tried to forget because it's such a weird, eerie occurrence. Well, they go on this adventure to try to solve the mystery and videotape it and document it. They come as prepared as anybody could possibly come prepared, with even a therapist who is basically checking their mental strength, because the word on the street is that everybody went crazy and started killing each other. I mean, what's not to like about a fucking story like that, right? Now, this is a movie that has been directed by two people. It's Jesse Holland, who did The Crooked Man and We Go On, and Andy Mitten, who did The Witch in the Window, The Harbinger, and We Go On with Jesse Holland. Some of the cast that you might recognize in this film is Anessa Ramsey, who one of my favorite movies is The Signal from Canada. It's a wonderful film from the 2000s that I think should be on everybody's watch list, by the way. It's an early anthology that David Bruckner was a big part of, by the way. So if you're a fan of him, you might want to check it out. Make sure you look 2007, The Signal, because there's a lot of different movies called The Signal, and that's the one that I love. But yeah, Anessa was in that movie, and she's also in this movie. She was in Southbound and Death Race 2050. We also have Cassidy Freeman, who's blown up with The Righteous Gemstones, and Fender Bender and Longmire, which is another movie that these guys did. This is an interesting story that really takes place kind of feeling like The Blair Witch in a lot of ways. A lot of people have compared it to that. I even misremembered it being a found footage film because it is so similar to the beginning of The Blair Witch, where these people go in after this crazy event happened, this interesting event, and they go to find out what really happened. A lot of people tend to give this movie sort of a Lovecraftian kind of stamp of approval because it is about madness and people losing their minds. And that is one thing that I absolutely love in a horror movie, is people who just go crazy from things, very mundane things sometimes, or just things that we can't even perceive or imagine. These people go into these woods and they get deeper and deeper and deeper in. The more they start hearing this sound of a movie playing in the background, and it's The Wizard of Oz. It gets louder and louder in moments when they get closer and closer to finding out what's going on. But the closer they get to finding out, the more madness sets in and they start killing each other off in pretty interesting ways. Like, this isn't the most brutal, bloody film. It does have its moments in it, but really it's kind of like that fever dreamish feel that you get where you're feeling so in suspense as to what's happening and what odd things are occurring that you start to feel like you're tripping. I love movies like that, and this movie delivers a hell of an atmosphere to it, even though it might not deliver on showing the visuals. A lot of viewers, they may expect a hell of a lot more from this movie than this movie offers. This is a movie that deals more within the ambiguity of the fear and what is going on, and it relies heavily on sort of the story that these people are going to chase after and sort of the unknown, the mysterious things that are going on around them that are causing them to go crazy. Can you trust the person next to you? Can you trust your girlfriend? Can you trust your best friend that's been by your side this entire time? And as they push on, it gets worse and worse, you know, to the point where things go pretty haywire. Now, I don't want to mislead anybody and make people think that this is a huge budget movie that has a lot of like graphic gore and creatures or anything like that. No, it is relying heavily on sort of the suspense, the mystery, and your own creativity to try to fill in the gaps of what's going on, because the atmosphere is so strong. I think it is a pretty decent movie. And I think that, you know, it kind of tickles that sort of button for people who like Lovecraft and who like mystery and who kind of want to unpeel the mystery and figure out what is exactly going on. Now, I don't want to tell you exactly what that I think it is, but this is my second watch. And the first time I watched it, I don't think I appreciated it as much as my second time watch, but it stuck with me enough that I did put it in my Amazon wish list, and then Resolution picked it up, which this version is the newer version. It's like a updated special edition, which apparently they did some of the effects. They like updated the effects of the end of the movie here. And I think they even changed some of the sounds a little bit to kind of make it feel a little bit more deeper and like more scary, because it does have this really eerie vibe about it the entire time. And that may not sit well with a lot of people, but just know that this is a movie that is going to rely again on creativity, mystery. It's not going to answer all your questions. So if you're one of those people that need it all laid out to you as to what's going on and don't want to have to dig in your mind for fragments to piece this all together, this might not be the movie for you. But for those who kind of like that kind of vibe, you know, that like kind of have this eerie, just something is wrong kind of vibe going on around you, mixed with a tale of like the Wizard of Oz, elements of that thrown into this in a way. It's really, really pretty interesting. I really like this. I don't want to say anything about the extras on this as far as like what they say about the movie and what they expect it. But the guys that made this really just wanted to make a really interesting, mysterious movie. And it's not for everybody, but, you know, for the ones that it is, they really appreciate. And if you've ever been one of the people that are interested in kind of why they made this movie, the extras on this for the commentary should help fill in a few gaps as to what it might be without completely destroying it all for you. So the fun is not completely gone, but this is a really cool release. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I add this to my collection. I feel like this is like a movie that could get lost along the way, and I think it deserves to get a few eyes on it. For me, no, I think this movie isn't high on the score, but it isn't low either. This is like a 6.5 or a 7 for what this movie tried to attempt to do. And that's okay. Like, I don't have any problem with movies that aren't like 9s or 10s. You know, a lot of the movies that I rewatch are in the 7 range. And I think that this kind of falls somewhere in there. I don't know. If you've seen this movie and you like vibey films that just are unsettling with a little bit of gore and craziness thrown in, I think this might be a good fit for you. It may not be the highest, biggest, favorite movie that you've ever seen, but there's something to be said about this film. and I think you should check it out. But yeah, that's it for the video here. I hope, if you've seen this movie, I would love to hear from you. And if you've made this film or are part of the film, kudos. Thank you for making this. This is always interesting to see something different and out of the box a little bit that does something, a little crazy. But yeah, thank you for coming by. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure that you let me know what you think about this movie in the comments section down below. Does the backstory kind of make you interested and want to see it? Are you into films that don't divulge everything? Or is that kind of a cop-out to you? What do you think? Let me know in the comments section down below. But other than that, thank you so much for coming by. Thank you, Resolution, for the wonderful film. And as always, long live the void.